you the link so that you can share it with them.
Okay, cool.
There we go. Copy the link. I'm emailing it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is not practical. To Amanda. Okay, sent it. There we go. I think this will be better. You will also come on and you'll see. I'm going to drop the phone. Hello, hello. If you are on this video, please let me know in the comment section. Tell me where you're from, where you're coming from. Tell me your name so we can start engaging. You can comment in the chat box. I'm also typing in there. Let's engage. Let's engage. What your business does. Sure. All you have to do is look in the chat box right there, and you'll be able to see everything that I'm saying. Guys, welcome. I'm going to pin this message so that everybody can see. Good morning, good morning. Puleng, welcome. How are you? The first one to arrive. You're quick with your emails, I see. Puleng says, I'm here, Puleng, South African, but currently living in South Korea. Wow, nice to meet you. I don't have a business, but I like listening to you because I learn a lot. If that is not somebody who's destined for extreme success, I don't know what that is, because to have an appetite to learn to this extent is quite profound. So, welcome, Puleng. I'm really happy to meet you. It's really great to engage with you. And thank you for having patience with us as we try to figure out the technicalities of streaming this. We are waiting for more people to come. I think they're just trying to access their links so that they can join the masterclass. Good morning. What time is it in Korea? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it in the evening? Let me know. Let me know, Puleng. Welcome. Anybody else who's joined our live, please let us know in the chat box who you are, where you're from, what your business does. And we can engage. And we're just going to wait for other people to also click the link in their email so that they can join us in this masterclass. Guys, thank you so much for your patience. I really do appreciate it. I'm currently in a different country, so it's been very wild trying to stream everything and consolidate the virtual nature of this. We were testing out new software, And clearly, it has not worked to our advantage, but we will keep iterating the process until it works because tech is the future. That's how we're all able to connect from different parts of the world. And that's the point, right? That's what we want to do with this. Even though we will have in person master classes during the year, but I thought it would be great to just start it off this way. Welcome. I see more people are entering our live. Welcome, welcome. Guys, talk to me in the comment section, in the chat box. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what your business does, so we can start this session. Thank you for your patience. I really do appreciate you. We've just been having technical difficulties and we just decided to scrap the software we're using and we're going to go straight to YouTube. But we do have perks because this is a public broadcast now. It's no longer private. But we do have perks for the people who've paid. And I think it's just going to be people who paid who are actually entering this. But we do have perks for you. We are going to email you the original presentation and a workbook that you can use to work through all of the challenges that you're facing based off of the questions that you've sent us and the structure of the initial masterclass. So don't worry, you are still getting your value for money. And you also get to ask me questions. We get to engage in this session, which is unlike other platforms where, people wouldn't be able to do that with me. So you are getting an elevated experience here. We are extremely apologetic about the technical difficulties. But if you are somebody who did pay for their ticket, you will be receiving an email on Monday or Tuesday with a workbook for marketing and sales for your small business. And you will receive the original presentation that was supposed to be streamed in this masterclass. So please do not fret. We have not forgotten you. We have not left you. And please check your junk mail and spam to see if you've received the messages, because I know a lot of you are emailing me and saying, I haven't received my link or I haven't received, etc. It might possibly just be in your spam or junk mail, or you're not opening the email even though you've received it. So please do that. Welcome, Buleng. Welcome, Narco Capitals. Welcome, Baby Kuzo and Mom Forever Business Partners. I am Smahle Ntozake, based in Cape Town. I'm selling Forever Living products. Okay, nice to meet you. Pindi, welcome. And Pindi says, I'm here, my darling. Shoban says, good morning. My name is Tandi Simelane from South Africa, Pretoria. I'm the founder of Virtue Sync Solutions, a business consultancy specializing in social media management and CX and retention. Okay, that's pretty dope. That's wonderful. Welcome, fellow marketer, to our live. Narco says, I've been failing to enter and get the link. Apologies for that. We were having technical difficulties, which is why we have just moved it to a public YouTube broadcast. But like I said, we will be emailing you resources after the masterclass. So that will be a workbook for planning your content and marketing, and we'll also share the original PowerPoint with you that we were going to share in this presentation so that you can go through it in your spare time and make sure that you don't miss anything. Right, this session is a session on marketing and sales for your business. We're specifically focusing on small to medium-sized businesses because the strategy that you would use for both size businesses is pretty similar compared to the strategy that you would use for bigger businesses. Welcome to everybody who has joined. I want to start so that we are not going over time and we have ample time for your Q&A. Please do not be afraid to use the comments bar to ask me questions as I go along. This is an interactive session, and it is designed for you to be able to ask me the questions that will help you iron out whatever challenges you're having regarding marketing and sales for your business. Now, I know that a lot of people get pretty frustrated when we start with the definitions, but we do need to start with definitions of things because that allows us to be on the same page and to work from the same constitution. Without that, we will not know why we're doing things in the way that we're doing them. So it's very important for us to do definitions. You will see that in everything I do, I always define things. And I find that it's an understanding that allows us to do the things that seem so hard in the beginning, right? The misconception with marketing is that it's so easy, anybody can do it. And if we have that mindset, then we're not going to fully unearth the potential that marketing has and the value it can bring to our businesses. Yes, anything can be taught and learned, but there are certain things that some people just do better than others. And marketing is one of those things where if you find somebody who has a knack for it, everything you're trying to do just happens a little bit easier. So please do not have that mindset that marketing is just this easy thing and anybody can do it. And actually, why do I have to spend so much time trying to do my marketing? Spend time. Anybody who's on this masterclass clearly understands the value of marketing or has probably tried to do it themselves on their own and realize that it's not as easy as it looks. So please don't take marketing for granted and sales for granted. If you don't have good marketing, you actually tend to struggle with having really consistent sales. So you want to make sure your marketing has been done well first to make the sales process much easier, to enable you to do everything much easier. Siva says, hi there, Siv, co-founder of the Match Up TV sports podcast, working on building a talent collaboration agency. Lovely, called New Culture Africa. I love that. You guys are doing some big things there. So, what is marketing? I know a lot of you have seen my videos where I say marketing is the process of adding value. But what does that even mean? Because for some people, they say, okay, Lebo, you say marketing is the process of adding value, and then what? We need to understand that the process of marketing starts before you are promoting a product or a service. Marketing is the process of adding value to anything that produces the end result, the final product, final experience to the customer, right? To the end user. Why is it important for us to see it this way? So that we can understand all the little touch points that we engage with in order to facilitate successful marketing. So, where do we even start? This comes even in product ideation, for example, product design, product testing or experience testing, service design, pricing models. All of those things that you're thinking about before you even get to the customer, those things are part of your marketing. And it's part of a really beautiful strategic toolkit that we call the marketing mix. The marketing mix was started on a foundational basis of 4 P's, but it's since evolved into 8 P's now. I think we're on 8 or 9 P's. So there are quite a few P's because they're realizing how marketing is part of so many parts of the business that they keep over time adding all the different parts that it's in. But I'm going to focus on the main four simply for time purposes and because if you understand the main four, you actually understand everything. The rest become much easier to understand. So when you're sitting at home or in your office and you want to create a strategy, a marketing strategy for anything you're doing, start with the foundational pillars of the 4 P's. It's called the marketing mix. The 4 P's are product, price, place, and promotion. 4 P's, strategic toolkit that you use to create strategy for your marketing starts with the 4 P's: product, price, place, promotion. These are the things that guide you in how you're going to develop this product or service and give it to the final market. Maybe we can add the fifth one, which is people, but that can be a bit complex if you don't understand the first few, which are the four: product, price, place, promotion. So let's start with product. Why does product matter? Product is the actual thing that you're making. So without that, there really is no value proposition to the market, right? We need to know exactly what you're selling. So the product is the physical thing or the experience. Here we'll put it as experience because we're only focusing on the 4 P's that you create for the end user. So now when you're thinking about it strategically, you have to say, what is the process of creating this product of mine? Are we creating a skincare brand? Are we farming the products that we are using to create the skincare brand? Or are we importing our actual product from a different country, the ingredients? And then we're creating and mixing them from that. Are we white labeling? Are we buying a finished product that we're just putting a brand on to create or make it our own? You have to understand every little aspect of the product. What does the bottle packaging look like? What is the branding on the packaging? What are the colors? All of those things matter because without you being aware, those things already start to position your product. And positioning is what will set the tone for who and what you are in the market that you occupy. Right. So you need to know what your all your product details are. If we use the example of a skincare product, and let's say you're the kind of business that is creating a skincare product, but you are buying the ingredients and then mixing them yourself at home. You can't say made from locally grown herbs and ingredients because you don't actually know, right? So you don't want to take that value proposition when you start to think about what does my product actually offer. But you might say something like sourced best ingredients from from the best global players in the skincare market, right? So already you start to think about, because my thing comes from here, this is how I need to communicate it. This is how it's going to be seen. It is very important to start thinking of it from that perspective from the beginning, because your positioning will determine how people engage with you in that market, how they value you, how they give you attention, all of those kinds of things. But also for you, from a business perspective, it makes you think, okay, if I'm the kind of business that is buying products from overseas, for example, and then mixing them up in my own country, what are the costs involved in that? Is that already going to position me in a high end pricing? Or is it going to allow me and give me room to scale because maybe I'm importing from a country that has very low pricing and very low import tariffs and that kind of thing? So actually it gives me a competitive advantage. I can scale my product much easier, which means I've got more control over my pricing, which means that I can play maybe in the mainstream retail game because I can afford to supply products at that scale. Do you understand? So already understanding that value chain from a product perspective, how am I creating my product, even if it's a service? What is the process required for me to produce this service? Do I need a degree? Do I need to do extra courses? Do I need to do XYZ? All of those things have a cost. And when you're looking at services, align your cost with the timestamp. So, how much time did it take for me to complete this or acquire this knowledge? What does it mean for the future? What is the value of this knowledge in the market that I occupy? What is it really costing me? How many courses did I need to complete? How many certificates did I need to acquire? How much work experience did I need? How long does it take me to produce this kind of course? All of those things are the things you would think about from a product perspective to say, this is what my service is going to be positioned as in the market. Same as a podcast, same as anything else that is not a traditional, conventional, tangible product. You have to think of it from a time and effort perspective. What did it cost me to invest in this, right? Not just the money, time, effort, all the things you need. It's the same as the ingredients that will be needed for a product that you are creating. So you have to think of it from that perspective. And that will also help you release yourself from pricing lower because you understand the process that it took for you to make this thing happen. Right? We need to start thinking of marketing from a strategic perspective. That's why the marketing mix matters, and product is the first thing. And if we even extend this concept, then it starts to make you think about place, for example. So place would be anywhere where your product is placed for that person or the customer to have access to it. So if you're creating a skincare brand, for example, you might want to place your product in a pharmacy like a Dischem or a Clicks. How much does that cost you? Where on the shelf do you want to be? Are you going to be in the middle shelf with an eye view, or do you want to be just below that? Do you want to be at the top? How much? What can you afford as your brand? Where does it need to be? Is it going to be slap bang next to the your competitor? Will there be competitive branding where your product is? So maybe your product is X product, but on the shelf you put it on, it's Y product branding. Are you okay with that? Can you afford that? What are the implications of that? When you think of it from that perspective, then you start to go, actually, if I'm producing a product in this way, I can mass produce it because the stock or the ingredients is cheaper for me because I'm getting it from a country that has very low import tariffs, and the cost of the actual stock is not so expensive, then maybe because I'm going to be playing a scaling game where I'm going to be working on a units perspective, I need to have really eye-catching branding, because when I'm going to be on that shelf in that pharmacy, I'm going to be there with my competitors who have bigger brands, have more branding in the store, and have bigger budgets. So already you're thinking about that. I'm not even telling you guys about being on social media. I'm not talking about getting radio adverts. I'm not talking about having influencers, nothing. It's just sitting with those strategic things, and you're going to get it in the workbook so you can fill it out. We're going to ask you certain questions under the price box. We're going to ask you certain questions under the product box. We're going to ask you certain questions under the place box and under the promotions box. The misconception most people have is that your marketing is just the promotions, right? Trying to promote a product that is not strategically sound is incredibly difficult. You are going to work your little patouche off trying your hardest to get people to understand what you're selling because it's not strategically sound. And even if you have great promotion, you might find that, oh my gosh, I'm promoting myself, but my pricing is off because I didn't realize the cost of promoting. I didn't realize that because I'm going to be on a shelf with my competitors who have bigger budgets and a louder looking branding, that I'm going to fall away in all of that noise and people aren't going to see me. So I'm going to have to spend a whole lot more money to be seen because I have less credibility and I have a smaller brand than my competitors. But if you had done your marketing mix strategic outlay before all of this, before fully going to market, then you would have been able to identify these inefficiencies and amended your branding, amended your pricing, amended your retail strategy. That's what the marketing mix is meant to do. Please do not just think of it as, oh, product, my product is this. No, your product is a skincare brand. You want it to be a mid-range skincare brand. Mid-range in your country or your area of trading maybe is between 20 Rand to 100 Rand. Then you start to go, okay, because of this, I need to identify the key players within this mid-range market. Mid-range market looks like brand X, B, and C. Then you go research brand X, B, and C. What does their branding look like? Do they have loud branding? You want to understand why. Why do these three brands that I deem as my competitors in this mid range category have loud branding? Right? Loud branding would maybe be big colors, big font. Why is it so loud? Right? Then you go and research. If I want to play this game, I understand that they've got loud branding, and I understand strategically why they need to have loud branding, maybe because in the mid-range skincare branding market, they have to have loud branding because the consumer only trusts skincare products that have loud branding. Now you need to ask yourself, what is the cost of having colorful branding? What is the cost of having a glass bottle instead of a plastic bottle? Or what's the cost of having a plastic bottle instead of a whatever type of bottle, right? Can I get really loud, eye catching branding on a plastic container versus a glass container? What is the height of the bottle? Do I need to have round containers, square containers? How is my consumer using it? What are my competitors doing? Do they have mainly long containers, or do they have tins? What do they have and why? How is my customer going to be using this product? Are they going to be using it in their bathroom, putting it on their shelf, or is it something they're traveling with? Is it something that they're going to be using in social spaces? So all of those things are things that you have to consider before you even think about promoting this thing. So if you consider the three: price, place, product, then once you've got those three on lock, or you have some kind of a framework of you being able to answer those questions, and the questions will be given to you in the workbook, then you can test your hypothesis in the market by just making a couple of samples if you can, and then seeing how people perceive it. I do recommend doing market research on anything that you do, whether it's a podcast, a service, or a product. It does give you great insights and data into how the market is perceiving you. And the wonderful thing about this is you haven't yet got a brand that has a reputation. You really just have a product, because without time in the market, nothing is a brand. You can't call something a brand if it has not stayed in the market for a bit of time. So when it's new to the market, it is a product with a name. But the longer it stays in the market, it becomes a brand because it becomes known, it becomes a household name, it starts to be competitively viable from a branding perspective. And then you can start to say, oh, I have a brand. So before you have a brand, you have a product with a name. And that's a beautiful place to be because you can product test, you can play around, and no one is going to hold you to a high standard because they don't really know you, right? You can really start to experiment and you want to give yourself time to experiment. I know some entrepreneurs are in a rush and they say, oh, I want to make sales now, I want to do this. The more you rush to get to the sale, the longer you're going to take to design a viable sales strategy. And the more money you're going to waste producing products that sit on a shelf for long, or sit in a warehouse for long, or sit wherever for long without the right engagement, without the right attention, without the right anything. So you want to spend more time on your marketing so that your sales is a shorter process. The shorter a sales process, the more likely you are to secure a customer. The longer the sales process, the less likely you are to secure a customer. The shorter the sales process, the more likely you are to secure long term customers. The longer the sales process, the less likely you are to secure long term customers. So you want to make sure that your sales process is short, but your marketing process is long, right? And in that long marketing process, there's also the process of creating a relationship between you and the customer. That's also why it is long. In that process of creating your relationship with the customer, it can start with product testing. It can start with any kind of uh, positioning where they engage with you and your product in a physical space. So maybe that's in a store or whatever the case may be. It can start from a promotional perspective where people start to see your product being used by an influencer or somebody influential, or you can start with Facebook ads or billboards, whatever it is, just to get whatever you're doing out there for people to start developing a relationship with you. It can even start before you even have the actual product, to be honest, that whole customer interaction space. It can start with you creating a page, for example, online where your focus is conversations related to the problems that you are going to be fixing. So maybe you start a skincare page on Instagram or on Facebook, for example, and you create a community of people who are interested in finding solutions to skincare problems. And then you create over time the solution to that through your product or your service, right? So the long game of marketing really is about creating relationships with your stakeholders in the market, not just your customers, because those are not your only stakeholders, but also your suppliers, for example, right? Your retail partners, anybody who helps you get the product out there, anybody who's part of the consumption are your stakeholders. You want to make sure that you're nurturing your stakeholders and building a relationship with them. You do not need your final product to exist before you do that. But you do need to be somebody in the ecosystem of the problem you're solving that has a voice at the very least, or has relationships. And you want to nurture those. So don't be afraid to get people to be involved in your process of building your product or service. People are actually quite happy to do that. And when they feel like they're part of building it, they're more likely to invest in that product or service over time as long-term customers, because they feel like investors. They feel like they've been part of this journey for so long that it only makes sense for them to consume it, to amplify it, to put it in their stores, to put it on their shelves, to give it preferential treatment or positioning, as it were. So you want to make your marketing a long game. Entrepreneurs, make your marketing a long game. Okay? Stop this thing of being hustlers. The hustler mentality is sales, 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 sales. The marketing mentality is relationships, relationships, relationships. Why? Because marketing is centered on value creation. Sales is just transactional. I will say that again. Marketing is focused on value creation. We are not hustlers as marketers. Sales is involved with a transactional interaction. The issue with solely focusing on sales is that you cannot guarantee return purchases. You cannot guarantee loyal customers. All you can guarantee is a once off sale. In the workbook we give you, we will show you that the cost of acquiring one customer is really high. You don't want to spend all of that time trying to acquire a customer only for them to disappear after one sale. And that happens when you are sales focused. But if you are marketing focused, your concern is building a big database of loyal customers, or at the very least, the minimum viable number of loyal customers that will keep your business going and help you build a brand footprint over time. Right. That's why I say, as marketers, we are not hustlers. We are value creators. Value creation takes time, it takes strategy, and it takes relationship building. Sales is a quick process, it's quite transactional, and you don't want to spend too much time in selling. But the problem with sales, depending on how sophisticated your sales process is and the plugins you have to measure it, it can be extremely superficial and may not be a great representation of the future viability of your business. And if you think about your business from an investment perspective, a lot of companies are not valued at their current sales. They valued at the mix of things that make them a valuable entity in the future. So if you have a valuation mindset, you don't think of things from a once-off perspective. You don't say, I just want to make a sale. You realize that there isn't any value in that, or there isn't much value in that, because it doesn't help you sustain yourself in the long term. Marketing is about sustainability. That's why the process is longer and it is more complex than sales. Sales supports the work that marketing has done to allow you to acquire all of those efforts, to acquire the successful results of that, to acquire the fruit of all the marketing that you have done. So when I say please do not sleep on marketing, I really mean it. And I know there are lots of celebrities who say to you guys, sell, sell, sell. Yeah, they're saying that to you because they've already got brands that make whatever they sell credible. So they're leveraging off of the long-term runway that their brand created for them, which is marketing. And that's why they're able to be solely sales focused. They can sell at a street corner, they can sell everywhere they go. Why? Because they're not selling that product. What they're actually doing is allowing their stakeholders to engage with their brand, which is a demand that was created over the years that they were building their brand. So that's why they can say to you, sell, 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 sell. Yes. But if you're not like them, if you're not famous like them, if you don't have the resources that they have, and you just go and sell, 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 no one will remember your product. They'll say, oh, I went to some event and I bought some skincare from someone, or I bought a cold drink from someone. It was very nice. And then we leave it there. You see? So you don't want that for yourself. You want to be memorable. Don't listen to celebrities telling you how to sell and market, because they've already got brands that they've built that allow them to succeed in the sales process. They have the luxury to be sales focused because they've built a brand runway. If you do not have a brand, you do not have the luxury to be simply sales focused. You will not succeed. You will make short-term sales and that's it. But if you're thinking investors, you're thinking company valuation, you're thinking growth, you're going to invest in your marketing long-term runway so that your sales is a short-term runway. And I want you to, even now, as we're doing this marketing masterclass, to think to yourself, Do I even measure how long it takes me to secure a sale? Do I know the time it takes? Do I know the process? If you don't, you need to go and figure it out. Then ask yourself, do I even know how long it's taken me to market my product? And when we say market now, we're not saying advertise. We're saying how long it took me to create the value and how much it cost me. The beautiful thing about using the marketing mix to create successful marketing in your business is that once you have a process that works, it's scalable. You never have to go and redo it once you've found what works for you. Sales, a lot of the time, is not as scalable as your marketing is. Marketing is heavily process driven. Sales, while it is process driven as well, is reliant on a few factors that make it a little bit unpredictable. But your marketing is scalable because once you realize what creates value for your product, it never changes. It never changes. Coca-Cola almost never has to change the recipe for their drinks. Every time they're building that brand, they're making that brand memorable as a legacy brand, they spend more time on the advertising because the actual product doesn't really need to change anymore. The value is there. The value is there. If the ingredients were to change or the taste were to change, it would probably be a financial decision more than it would be a question of value. It would be in 2050, sugar is cheaper than it was in 2024. Therefore, we can make our drink a little bit sweeter. And because of global warming, the climate has changed. Most places are hotter. We know as marketers and recipe developers that hotter climates like sweeter drinks, which means the overall production cost of that sweet sugary drink actually goes very low. And that means in the future, you guys are able to make way more profits than you were able to make per unit than you were able to make in this day because of those factors. And I'm saying these things to you here. I haven't even prepared it, nothing. It's just coming to me now. Why? Because I have a 4 P's of marketing mindset. I strategically think of everything that way because it's all interlinked. Why is the price of my good that price? If you cannot answer that question, it means you have not strategically crafted your marketing. Why does my bottle or my product have this kind of branding? Why is it this color? Why is it this shape? Why am I selling it here? Why am I not selling it there? Why do I use this kind of promotion? You have to be able to answer those questions. And those questions actually give you the answers to your business solutions before you even get to the advertising stuff. That then you can actually assess, what are my inefficiencies in my business? Asmite says, hi, my name is Asmite, watching you from Ethiopia. I don't have a business. I like listening to you because I learn a lot from you. Thank you. Well, welcome to the live. I'm seeing a lot of comments here. Cindy Siwe says, hi, I'm Cindy Siwe and I'm returning. Oh, you renting out baby shower dresses based in Cape Town. Love it. Love it. Pauline says, my name is Pauline from Pretoria. I have an online store. I sell perfumes only made in Dubai. Tsepo says, good morning. My name is Tsepo and I'm the founder of Tsepo Sialetsa Studio. Okay, an architectural interior design studio specializing in bespoke interiors and product design. Love it, love it, love it. I'm even seeing people collaborating here in the comments section, speaking about how they're going to do things. So, guys, because we couldn't stream the presentation that I had for you, I will be sharing it with you so that you can actually see everything that I'm saying in motion. And we'll also stream a really cute workbook for you. It's probably going to be a couple of pages, not more than 5, so that you can really identify your own marketing mix solely based on those 4 P's, because if you know the foundations, the rest will make a lot of sense to you. You don't need me to guide you through the rest once you understand the foundations. So for anybody who's just arrived, I basically said to everyone, marketing is strategy, it's a long game. And the best way to create your marketing successfully is to focus on the 4 P's. This is called the marketing mix. It's a box of it's a strategic toolkit that we use as marketers to enable us to create successful strategy for our businesses. And the 4 main marketing mix P's are price, promotion, place, and price, promotion, place. How am I forgetting this? Price, promotion, place, and product. Right. You need to be able to answer all of those questions about your product, your price, your place, your promotion in order to create a successful marketing mix. And I tell you that it's a foolproof strategy. I have consulted for over 10,000 businesses, and the ones who listened to this advice succeeded. They were able to get clients overseas. They were able to get clients wherever they were. They were able to 10x their sales. They were able to grow their businesses and do so much. So you really want to think of marketing strategically and to release yourself from the idea that it is just promotions. Promotions is the last part, and it's a very small part of the actual marketing value chain, which is the process of creating value from the moment the product is an idea to the moment it is a physical offering or an offering that is available to the market, right? And we have to think of it this way. So I know a lot of people are going to ask me about the promotional parts of marketing because most of us have probably put the most investment into the promotion. And now you're realizing after this masterclass, or at least after what I've said, that you don't actually need to put that much money in the promotion of what you do. If you've got the other things unlocked, your price, your product, and your place, you don't have to put as much money into the promotional elements as you would if you didn't do the other parts properly. So I'm going to touch on price and then we'll go into place and then into promotion. Now we know our product, and you'll see in the workbook all the questions I'll ask you so that you can answer them and identify whether or not you've got the product aspect of your offering correctly. Now we talk about price, which is probably one of the most contentious issues right now online and in the business space. How do I price my offering? How do I know I've got the right pricing? How do I know that my pricing is going to work for me? Price is incredibly sophisticated and it is based on so many things. You cannot look at pricing from an accounting perspective because you're going to miss out on different touch points that are not considered when it's solely from a financial perspective, right? Pricing is about value. It's about the value of something. It's about the time value. It's about the effort value. It's about the energy value. It's about the future perspective value. It's about so many things that you have to consider before you just put a price on it. And what I want to urge everybody to do is when you're thinking about your pricing for your business or your product or your service or your product, think about it from a strategy perspective. Okay. So there are different ways to price your product. Some people will price something lower to enter the market. And once they dominate the market or have a greater market share, they increase the price of their product. And this happens in specific industries, not in all industries. So you have to research the pricing of your industry. How do people usually price things? And why do they price it that way? And then you can figure out your own innovative pricing strategy that fits your costs and your needs and your value creation, right? But there are different ways to price. And the price you come in with doesn't have to be the price that you stay with. Sometimes we will come into a market. Let's say I want to create a skincare brand. It's just simple to use a skincare brand, mid-range. And because I'm still new, I have limited capital. I'm going to import most of my ingredients from China and my packaging from China, right? And then you start to make money and you build a brand off of this thing, and you realize that you've got the capacity to create those ingredients in your own factory in your home country, but that's going to cost a lot more money. So what you do is maybe you will stick with your mid-range product because that's how you entered the market, but you will create a higher end range within your brand that you will price at a higher price point. And you'll get your current audience to engage with that, test it, and see if they like it, or maybe you will attract a new customer base. And maybe over time you realize that selling the high end product is more lucrative for you and it fits the criteria for your country to invest in your business better than you importing everything. So eventually you shut down the lower end part of your business and you keep the higher end running and you make more money over it over time. So don't think that your pricing is something that you are just tied to and it's a forever thing. It's also a progressive thing, right? And there are different ways to price a product. Don't just price it based on this is how much it cost me to make it from a resources perspective, the cost of the bottle, the cost of the ingredients, then add a markup. That's very basic pricing. You don't have to do it that way, right? And there's some people who, for example, would use, if you're in the services business, you'd use bundling, right? Where you're offering packages and you say, if you want marketing strategy consulting, these are the main things that we give you, or the foundations that you need. That's bundle number one. If you want extra and you want to achieve XYZ, then you get bundle number two. If you want XYZ, you get bundle number three. So it gets progressively more expensive the more things you add, because that's how you structured your service offering. And a lot of people are quite used to that in the services world. Or if you're offering the kind of service where people do not need to create a long term relationship with you to get results, or it's not necessary. For example, therapy, it would be nice for you to get consistent clients, but you can still do once offs. You can still do people who come once a month, and that's okay for them. You wouldn't necessarily do a bundle pricing because that doesn't work. You want to give them a good once off pricing that they pay whenever they want to see you. So you have to think about your business and say, how do I want to price it in a way that will serve the future that I envision for this, or the life that I want to live in building this kind of business? Not everybody wants to build $1 billion business. Some people just want to build a business that will help them have a certain lifestyle and have a certain size team and just feel fulfilled. So when you price for that kind of business, it's not the same as pricing for a business that would become $1 billion business one day. It's not the same thing. So when you think about pricing, think about your why. Why am I doing this? Why have I built this? Why am I creating this product? What do I want to get out of it? And that's the foundation of your pricing strategy. What's my capacity? If you are selling services, do you have the capacity to have more than 10 clients in a week? Right? If you don't, then maybe you will charge higher because you want to have 5 high quality clients in one week instead of 30 mid range clients in a week. Because what you're offering is so sophisticated and requires so much effort that you cannot afford to have scale. You cannot afford to have a lot of people, but what you can afford is a focused approach. So you have to think about those things. What is your resource capacity? And then add the other things. What is my why? What is the vision? What kind of life am I trying to craft for myself in this business that I've designed or this product that I'm making? And how will my pricing help me get there? And you will see that in the workbook, in the questions that I'm asking you. Those questions are very reflective. They force you to ask yourself questions and to really look your business and say, okay, now that I've answered this way, does this answer correlate with what I'm seeing in my business? Is this what's really happening in my business? Is my vision really what's happening, or is my current reality completely different to the vision that I have for it? If they are not the same, then something is wrong somewhere. And you have to decide, do I amend my vision or do I amend my current state? Where do we need to change things and where do we need to fix things? Pricing takes time, guys. Don't play with your pricing. Fix it, experiment with it a little bit, test it a bit in different markets, and understand where people really see you and position you. Remember, you can't price something that doesn't in with a price bracket that doesn't look like it was worthy of the pricing. If I'm selling something, I've got something here right now. This is that lip therapy from Dischem. You see this packaging. It's white. It's got some avocados. It's got Dischem here, lip therapy. It's a plastic container. It's black and white. It's nothing amazing. If you went into a shop and this was 250 Rand, You would ask yourself so many questions because it doesn't look like it would cost 250 rands. So your pricing also has to fit your offering. Your offering has to obviously look like that price suits it. If it is not obvious, you're going to have to do a lot of work explaining why something is costing that much. So the less people question your pricing, the less your stakeholders are questioning your pricing, the better your pricing fit is to what you're offering. The more they question it, the less of a fit it is to what you're offering. Or another case can be that if people are questioning your pricing, they may not be the right target market, right? So that's a you thing. That's a strategy thing from your side where you identified the wrong people as your customers for your business. And then you have to amend that strategy. But pricing in and of itself does not necessarily indicate value. It's also all those other factors that we've considered because something like this, let's say it's at Balenciaga, and Balenciaga is all about making things that look inexpensive seem expensive. Maybe if you saw this at a Balenciaga and they tell you that this is the future of lip therapy, you would think, okay, maybe it is. And that 250 Rand price tag wouldn't seem as unreasonable. You would start to doubt yourself and say, I can't afford that, or that seems weird to me. Am I out of touch? What's wrong with me that I don't see how this actually is a quality thing, right? But because this is in a pharmacy, Dischem in South Africa that everybody goes to, I mean, it's white, plastic, avocados. You won't see that kind of thing with high-end packaging. And that would be high-end. A lip balm for 250 Rand is high-end. So this does not look high-end. It's pretty durable, cheap plastic. There's not much to it. So your price tag has to fit what this looks like. And you will find that even something like this that would be characterized as maybe cheap because of the plastic, etc., with the right price point, it starts to become something that's brag worthy. When I say right, I don't mean high. I mean the kind of price point that makes it valuable to the person. So maybe I've seen the trend in South Africa with these specific lip oils that because of the price point, people tend to buy them bulk. And so there's a sense of community when you see another person taking it out of their bag, right? So people buy this to assimilate, to be part of community. And if your price point allows a person to do that, or you offer them at discounts all the time, you're offering them in bowls where a person can grab quite a few. Remember, that's part of place now, and we'll go into that. But if a product is in a bowl and a person feels like they can just grab a few, what is implied from a mindset perspective to the person psychologically is, oh, it's in a bowl. It's not, that means it's not really that valuable. It's something that it's easy to access. I'm assuming the price point is something that I can afford, so I'm going to buy a lot of them, right? And then that's how you will leverage off of brand because there'll be visibility. The person will have a lot of them. They probably will be part of a community because of that. It's easily accessible, and that helps with the value of your product. That, oh, but this is something we always buy. It's a staple in my handbag because it's so inexpensive. I don't even know the price. That's what it does. And that comes from not only the pricing, but the placement, the fact that it's been placed in a round little bowl close to the till. I see it as I'm walking towards it. It's an impulse purchase. I just put my hand in there, grab it, and I go. And why would I just get one? It probably finishes quite quickly because why is it in a bowl and all the way by the till? So I'm just going to take a few. Then I put all of them in my different bags or different situations, environments, and boom, now I'm a loyal customer of this product and I buy it without even thinking because it's just a part of my life. So pricing might determine your place. The cheaper the pricing, the closer it is to products that are not as valuable or as expensive or as highly positioned, which means it will trigger impulse buying, which means that you're going to do a lot of work either on brand or scaling in order to make the money that you want to make from it. Sometimes if something is priced low enough, brand is not that important because the product is in market to scale. It is all about just moving units. It is something that people will buy. They're not overly concerned with the branding of it. All they want is for it to do the job that it does. Usually, the higher the price of something, the more people care about the brand, because they could buy a cheaper alternative, but they're buying this one, which means that it's got a greater value and meaning to them than the thing that they just buy based on price or the location. Oh, it's conveniently there, like at a garage, a filling station, therefore I will buy it without thinking, right? But the more people have to think about the purchase, the higher the price can be. And the more expensive the experience design will be for that product or service, because the price is so high. And because you have to do so much to convince people to buy, because it's such an expensive purchase. Which is why that the four piece, that marketing mix, the structure is so important. Let me read more of your comments. Mbali says, Mbali Funani, good morning. I'm Mbali Twala, based in Johannesburg. I do environmental consulting. Okay, lovely. Minente says, good morning, Live Lion. My name is Pidile. I'm from Pietermaritzburg. I don't have a business, but I'm planning on having a cookie business soon. That's a booming industry right now. Ste says, I'm Ste Fitness, and I'm in the fitness industry. I help individuals lose weight and get in shape. Ste, I love how you described what you do. That's the perfect way to describe something. I'm going to read what Ste said again. Ste says, I'm Ste Fitness, and I'm in the fitness industry. I help individuals lose weight and get in shape. Short, sweet, to the point. We know what Ste does. We can buy from him if we want to. Lorato says, how do you compare the Dischem lip therapy versus Elizabeth Arden's 8-hour lip therapy? Is it also white? It is also white in plastic packaging, yet it's about 200. What would the difference be? Wonderful question, Lorato. Great. So, and I actually have lip therapy, but it's just not on me right now. This, look at the packaging. Yes, it's white, but what kind of white? It has the pharmacy name on it. The higher in the product, the less you see pictures, colorful pictures. When something becomes more high end, the branding becomes less colorful. It is not the rule for all, but it tends to be the average mentality, right? When you squeeze this thing, look at what happens. It seldom goes back to form. The branding, what's been written on here, it just says avocado 10 milliliters lip therapy Dischem. That implies that it is probably a lower costing product. The more expensive something is, the more descriptions they will have, or the more writing they will have describing the product on the actual product. Lip Therapy Dischem is not a well-known brand in the same way that an Elizabeth Arden would be. When you buy Elizabeth Arden, you're buying the brand. You're not just buying the product because you need to moisturize your lips. You're buying the brand because you believe that it is probably the best in the market. They probably have a better formula to a lip therapy. And it's a status symbol. Like, you take your lip regime seriously because you use lip therapy, Elizabeth Arden lip therapy. And a lot of the time, you will find that people will describe, so cheaper products will be described in the way that popular, expensive variations of them are described. So lip therapy actually comes from the Elizabeth Arden brand. They called it that first. And then cheaper variations that were trying to get customers who wanted lip therapy but couldn't afford it would call whatever lip thing they make lip therapy, so that you have psychologically this understanding that, okay, well, it might not be Elizabeth Arden, but I'm still buying something that's close to a lip therapy. So what you find is high-end products describe ingredients better. They will tell you about ceramides, da 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 da. Use all of those words, imply scientific backing. They will be heavily branded. When I say heavily branded, I mean they will be associated with a brand that has a lot of credibility. So just having that brand name on the bottle already positions it as a higher end product, which means that you must expect to pay more. Where you will find a lip therapy is very different to where you will. Elizabeth Arden lip therapy is very different to where you will find this. Elizabeth Arden lip therapy will be found at higher end retail stores that are focused on selling makeup, right? So wherever they're selling, I know in South Africa we have department stores that will sell different makeup products, makeup brands. So you'll have a MAC, then you'll have a Bobbi Brown, whatever, but they're all under the same roof. Just and then the brands have their own little stores. So once I go into a place and I know, okay, this is a space with high-end makeup, and I'm going to look for my Elizabeth Arden lip therapy, I already expect it to cost more. I'm already walking into a place that has a very different ambiance, probably smells better, it's probably in a more expensive area than I would be walking into a place with Dischem lip therapy. Dischem lip therapy, I'm just walking through a pharmacy. Where do they place it? Right in that aisle just before you get to the till. What do they place it in? A plastic jar filled with lots of lip therapies. You just take one out. Elizabeth Arden lip therapy, what do they do? It's nice on a shelf. Elizabeth Arden store. Beautiful, smells nice. There might be a sales assistant who's dressed in Elizabeth Arden clothes. So already that says to you, ma'am, you're going to have to go through a specific experience, and there's a way for you to be part of this experience so that you can purchase this thing. That all of those value created touch points do what? They imply to the customer what they should expect the pricing to be and what they should expect the quality of the product to be as well. So because this comes to me on a shelf close to the till in a plastic container where I can just pick it out, and if it falls, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to care. Even if this doesn't work, I'm not going to be mad because my entire customer experience has shown that this thing is not worth that time investment for there to be a sales assistant who's going to help me, for there to be branded merch. Nothing. I just see it, I take it, and I go. It's an impulse buy. That's the difference. Even the kind of plastic that Elizabeth Arden uses on the 8-hour lip therapy is completely different to this plastic. It's not the same. It's not the same as this thing. It's not the same. Right? So even when you're designing your own product, not all plastic is the same. Not all branding is the same. The font you're using on your product is going to determine the positioning. The colors you use. Do research on colors. Different colors indicate different positioning because they will indicate whether something is high end or low end or mid range. The more pictures you're putting on something, the more it is mid range to lower range. The less pictures you're putting on something, the more higher end it is. The more branded something is, the more higher end it is, where the brand name becomes the full value instead of you having to overly explain it with things like pictures, right? And that's the difference. Rose says, Joshua, hello, my name is Rosaline Joshua. I'm from Botswana and I sell table charm products. Welcome, welcome, Rose. Minentle says, can a cookie business be high end? Because the biggest cookie business in America is pink. Absolutely. Remember, high end in different industries looks different. So you cannot use beauty high end to brand your cookie business high end. What are cookies? First of all, they're consumables. They're basically FMCG. They fall into the FMCG category. It's something you consume quite quickly, immediately, and that's it. So the experience is very short lived, right? And there's a cap to what a person is going to pay for a cookie. A high-end cookie might be that each cookie costs 30 Rand per cookie or 50 Rand per cookie, right? But the more expensive the cookie becomes, the more you need to add. The more you need to add ingredients that people don't know about, or you need to give people an experience that they wouldn't have with a typical cookie. For example, maybe you have a cookie business that has basic flavored cookies, chocolate chip, vanilla, chocolate. But your USP comes in the fact that, when someone buys your cookies, they get to decorate their own cookies. And so the higher price point. Not only are you making them pay to decorate the cookie, but also you make them pay for each decoration. So you're basically making it the crux of cookies, right? Where with Crocs you can buy those little charms and stick them onto the Crocs. So what has Crocs done by doing that? They've extended the marketing runway, which means that they've extended their brand runway. Because now you're not just buying a pair of Crocs and it ends there. You have to keep going back to the Crocs store because you want to buy charms to put on your Crocs. And then you're exposed to other designs of Crocs. Then you want to buy those because you love your Crocs so much and you run out of space because you put so many charms on your existing Crocs. And now you need another pair so you can buy more charms. So you keep going back into the store. Same with your cookies. I come today. Yes, there are basic flavors: chocolate chip, chocolate, and vanilla. Wonderful. But today, maybe I want to add sprinkles, Snickers, and jelly tots. Wonderful on the vanilla cake, cookie. Then I come back another time and I think, okay, I want to try a different combination. Maybe I want the chocolate chip, and this time I want to add chocolate syrup, cream, and speckled eggs. Oh, this is lovely. Now I'm going to bring my friends because this is actually quite social. And the cookie is so sweet that it's something I have to eat quite slowly. So I spend a lot of time in the store eating the cookie. And because people are spending more time eating the cookie in your store, then you start to offer them beverages, coffee that goes with it. Do you understand? So how you design your offering is going to determine the runway that you're going to have with it and will determine your pricing. Sometimes it's not necessarily that you're making a lot of money because you're charging a lot, but you're making a lot of money because you're upselling. So people come for the basic cookie, but then you upsell sprinkles and decorating. And then because the cookie becomes so sweet and it's such a big cookie because they're buying one cookie at a time, they're going to want something to drink with it. So you're upselling. Now you sell coffee and you sell water, right? So then that's how you make a lot of your money instead of your profits just relying on the cookie, right? But because your basic model is based on the three foundational basic flavors of the cookies, you can also streamline your supply chain or your value chain because the ingredients for the most important product, which is the cookie, are standard. You've got a vanilla cookie, standard. The vanilla cookie is the basic ingredient even for the chocolate and the chocolate chip. Then the additions that makes the vanilla cookie chocolate chip and the vanilla cookie chocolate. So now you've streamlined your supply chain because you've made the most important ingredients cheaper because they're scalable because that's what you're offering at a mass perspective. And then the sprinkles, which are actually very cheap for you to acquire, and all of those things, because you're charging them at a markup, you're making a whole lot more money from them than you would from the cookie per unit. I hope this is making sense to all of you. And these are things that you will see once you create a marketing mix for yourself. Because you will see where you've created value, where the value drains are, where the financial drains are, how to make your product more competitive. Because just selling cookies is not enough. Everyone is selling cookies. Everyone is selling cookies. So what makes your cookies different? It's not what you say. It's actually in the experience and everything else that you're offering. Is it an upsell that you're going to create? Is it are you going to make your cookies the biggest cookies in the market? Are you going to make the tiniest cookies anyone's ever seen? What is it about your cookies that makes them stand out in the market and validates their pricing? High price isn't always the best option to go for, especially if you want to upsell. Keep the price of the most important product low so that you can upsell with a greater markup. And that would be part of your pricing strategy. So from that perspective, the pricing strategy is I go low to enter and I back up my margins with the extra that I'm charging on my upsell. Let me read some of your questions. Minetli says, okay. Minetli says, but what if your cookie business is still on the online store? Like, how do you make that experience if you don't have a physical store? Guys, an experience is an experience. It's got nothing to do with online or offline. Experience is, how do I feel as the consumer in the journey of consuming and acquiring whatever you offer me? Your website design is an experience. I hope that when you guys are commissioning websites for whatever you sell, that you're not just saying, give me a website. You must be thinking of it as, I'm building a shop. When a person enters my shop, what is their experience? When a person gets onto my website, what is their experience? That's the customer experience. You can still sell cookies online that are upsold. Here are the basic cookies. Click on the cookie you want. Next page. Click on the ingredients and that the sprinkles that you want on top, the extra added things. Next thing, pick the box that you want your cookie to come in or the note that you want us to send. Last box, check out, pay. That's an experience. It doesn't have to be on in a physical, it doesn't have to be a physical experience. And in fact, those experiences online are much easier to control than when you have a physical store. So any environment where your customer gets to engage with what you're offering, that is the place where they're having the experience. Right. And last but not least, promotions. Promotions is what everybody thinks marketing is. It is the advertising, it is the PR, it is the billboards, it's all of that stuff that gets people to see. It's the amplification of it all, right? You need to amplify what you do so people can see it. We do trade in noisy markets, and there are lots of products that are the same, to be honest. There's a lot of homogeneousness in markets where things are the same. So you have to differentiate what you're selling. And part of differentiation is in amplifying yourself. How do you stand out? How do you talk about yourself? How do you present yourself in the market so people can see you above everyone else? How do you catch people's attention? You can do this from using digital marketing, so using your online tools, your social medias, your websites, your SEO, all of those kinds of things, Facebook ads, those kinds of things help you to be seen. Or you can use your offline stuff, billboards, magazines, radio, television ads, all of those kinds of things to be seen. Now, the trick with promotion is that copy matters. What is copy? Copy are the words that you use to articulate the value of your product or service. A lot of people are advertising by just taking a picture and then paying for Facebook ads, or securing radio interviews and then going on a radio interview and just chatting about their product or service, or trying to be featured in a magazine. All of those things are fine, but it is the what you say about it that will determine the the value you derive from your amplification activities. It's always in the words. It's always in the words. And that's why advertising is such a tricky thing, because most ads that people remember come from the words that are used. It is not necessarily from the visuals or anything else. It's usually the words. I would safely say 6 times out of 10, it's the words that are used. You know, it's not inside, it's on top. If you're South African, you know that that's a Cremora ad. Their tagline, it's not inside, it's on top. In fact, there was a time when Cremora would just have billboards, and on the billboard, all they'd say is, "It's not inside, it's on top," and have the Cremora and milk next to it. So it's the words that you're using. Got milk. Instead of saying, "Buy our milk from our lovely cows on our farm," you say, "Got milk." You put a sexy lady She spilled milk on herself. She's holding your packet, of milk. Got milk because she spilled hers. You know, it seems so counterintuitive, but that's what it is. Your promotion must be catchy. It must stand out from what people are already saying in the market. And it doesn't mean it has to be controversial, but it must stand out. Are you speaking about something that people in your industry don't tend to not speak about? Are you highlighting something that is a real demand, but it's never really something that the industry has taken that seriously? What are you doing that's making you stand out in your copy? Remember, features tell, benefits sell. So to tell me that my car has whatever high speed windscreen wipers doesn't make me want to buy the car. But if you know that I'm somebody who likes to hike and I love to be in nature, and you say, when you buy this car, the windscreen wipers will make it easy for you to see through the fog, I'm more likely to see the value. Even though, technically, if you say to me, these are high speed windscreen wipers, you mean exactly the same thing. But as a consumer, I don't hear it the same way. So features tell, benefits sell. What's the benefit to me in my copy? What's the benefit to the customer in your copy of your advert or your promotional material? Talk to me about what the benefit is to me, not what the features are. This pot has a 90-degree heating pad, whatever. Nobody cares. But if you say this pot will keep your food hot for long so that even if your husband comes home from a long day of work, he will get warm food. You know, speak to the needs of your consumers, speak to what they benefit from it. Features tell, benefits sell every time. So the copy for any ad that you want to create, any marketing collateral, a poster, anything, you must think about the words. The words are more important. And if you can, less words is better. You want to give room for people to see your product and to engage with the words in a short space of time. The more wordy, the longer it takes for me to engage. And people, let's say it's a billboard, I'm not going to be sitting there for long enough to engage with a lot of words. So I'm going to miss your key messaging if it's not part of the first sentence of whatever you want to say. And if the visual isn't eye-catching enough for me to see it being aligned with the text, the copy matters. I'd even say that if you're an entrepreneur and you're going for radio interviews and TV interviews to speak about your product, please write a script for yourself. Almost like an elevator pitch that allows you to speak about your product in the right way, in a way that's catchy, it's quick. Talk about the benefits. It makes your ideal stakeholder want to engage with you immediately. You want to do that so that you're not wasting time. Promotion does not work if it is not done well. So you'll find that you're all over the place, spending money to be seen, but you're not getting the right attention. Toby says, Laze and Serene launched yesterday. Laze and Serene, or Laze and Serene launched yesterday. I'm here thinking that's a high-end product. Her marketing strategy is top tier, mainly because I was questioning myself how she came up with that packaging and names. That's gorgeous and Bali, absolutely. Pindi says, what are good marketing strategies when selling branded products, especially when you're competing with influencers or people who are long in a business and are doing very well in recruiting and selling? That is a long question. You're asking me many things there. I'm not too sure exactly what you're asking me. What are good marketing strategies when selling branded products? Use your 4Ps, because branded products in and of itself means nothing. Almost everything is a branded product. So what are good marketing strategies to sell products? Use your 4Ps. Slot your things into 4Ps, and then you will see, especially when you're competing with influencers. Okay, so you're competing with brands that have a budget for influencers or people who are long in the business and are doing very well. Use your 4Ps. If you're struggling, it's because you haven't positioned yourself correctly, which means your marketing mix is off kilter. Like I said, Lay's and Serene, whatever that is, I think it's Gorgeous and Bali's product. She's gorgeous in Bali. You guys are forgetting that. She's gorgeous in Bali. Yes, she's put a lot of work into her product and she's intentional about her marketing, but she's gorgeous in Bali. She was an influencer with 250,000 followers before she started her own product. There was already attention and there was already demand. How she's doing things if she was new to the market might not work. That's why the four P's exist so that you can mitigate that. I don't have 250,000 followers, so what do? Let me look at my four P's. All products are practically branded, even no name is branded. Right. Sapir says true level persuasion starts in the mind of the prospect. It's about solving internal problems. Absolutely. So don't think about your things as, oh, my product, my service, you're going to lose. I've answered all your questions actually. The problem is a lot of entrepreneurs don't want to do the work of doing that marketing mix. Once you do it, your life is going to be so peaceful. You're going to be like, so this is what I was missing. You cannot be picky with your marketing. You can't say, oh, I'm just going to look at this one thing. You have to look at it in a systematic way. My pricing's not working. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of my packaging. Because why? Because of the formula. Because why? Everything's linked. That's why the four P's matter. Once you work on your four P's, Hashem, you're not gonna ask. You'll be like, your label was right. It's so simple. Okay, every time something goes wrong, I go back to the drawing board. What's wrong with my four P's? That's it, guys. I swear to you. The most old school way still works now in 2025. So we've got about 10 minutes for Q&A. Not 10 minutes, 9 minutes. But I've also been answering your questions as we've been going along. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will definitely be emailing you a short little workbook with the four P's for you to look through and to answer those questions. And then you can start gauging it against your current strategy to see if it works. And we will also send you the presentation because we were not able to stream it now. I really do appreciate your patience and that you attended. We really do appreciate you. It's always great to grow the community and to see people's businesses thrive. And to the people who don't have businesses yet, but they're here to learn, you are incredible because it's not easy to do that. And it shows that you're a game changer. You're one of those people who are pioneers who understand the value of learning. So big ups to you. And to the entrepreneurs who have businesses, please know that your business can win, right? It's a myth that there are people who are highly favored and chosen to win and some aren't. No, your business can win. What would be so wrong with it that it can't, right? It's usually the small things that we do not see. That's why the four P's matter. Forget about, oh, it's a social media. It doesn't matter. Once you understand the four P's, it wouldn't matter what platform you're using and tools you're using to do your marketing. It will work because you're strategically sound and you have a business view of what you're doing. That's what the four P's give you, the business view of things. My place can be online, it can be offline, it can be dual. It can be a high-end looking website, it can be an approachable looking website. So many things to consider, but those are all a you thing. Label in this life cannot answer that for you. But what I can give you are the four P's. What I can give you is it's the mindset you need. What I can tell you is use this and you will win. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to have a lot of followers. You don't have to have a lot of money for you to win it at this game. So CPO says, Label, what do you think about niche versus broad? It depends on what you're selling. That's the thing with marketing. There's never a wrong answer. Everything is doable. What matters in marketing is context, which is what your P's give you. Niche versus broad depends on what you're selling. High end, overwhelmed supply chain, expensive product ingredients. How easy is it to acquire this thing to be able to sell it? The branding, da 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 da. How much investment? Then you go, okay, it should be niche, because it's very difficult to acquire, very expensive, da 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 da. You know, Or is it easier to source? Are the ingredients cheap? Are my retail costs going to be lower? Am I going to be using a website? Okay, maybe then I can do a broad approach and a lower pricing, because the broader the approach, usually the lower the pricing, because if it's broad, you're usually chasing scale. But why are you scaling? It has to be based on your 4Ps. So niche versus broad can only be answered based on your 4P strategy. But on its own as concepts, they're almost meaningless, because so what niche, so what broad? Admi says, hi Label, how do you connect marketing strategy with sales strategy for success when selling agency packages? Remember, marketing is a long runway, sales is a short one. There needs to be a BD department or somebody in BD, business development, because that's sales for services. That person or the people responsible for BD know how to take the marketing that you've created and go quickly to secure a client, right? So if I've created all the value, my pricing is right, it's positioned in the right place, it's placed in the right place, it's aligned with the right people, everything's correct. All my salesperson has to do is identify the right people to speak to and identify the right language to use to get that person to secure the sale. That's what your salespeople are there for. What is the language? How do we communicate this marketing that we've done? And how do we do it quickly enough in an environment that's ideal for the customer to buy? All about speed. Sales is a speed game. Do it quickly. So if you're a marketing agency, for example, you want to make sure that you've designed a sales runway. You've done all the marketing, you've got the packages, you know the pricing. And you say to yourself, with every client we want to secure, it will be one email, two phone calls, and one in-person meeting. By the time we get to the in-person meeting, we need to be signing a contract. In order to do that, I need to give them a pamphlet that's 2 pages where they can see all of our packages. I need to call them after I send them the pamphlet so that I can talk them through it for 5 minutes. When I'm done talking to them for 5 minutes, this is my call to action to them. So you speak to your client for 5 minutes over the phone, running them through the pamphlet, and then you say something like, because you don't want to just end it and let it be on them. You say something like, please don't hesitate to contact me if you have more questions about this. In the meantime, I would like to share this with you, and we will be in touch with you to help you with XYZ. I'd like to share this extra workbook with you, a free workbook with you, or a free whatever with you that will help you access whatever in 2 days' time. But it must be time specific so that the person who you're engaging with, it has to be in touch with you again. Because it's very easy for somebody to engage with something you've done, have a call with you, and then forget, or get scared and not want to engage further. But if you're creating more opportunities for them to continue to engage with you, then the chances of securing the sale within that timeline you've given yourself are much higher. So thank you for I hope we've been able to answer your questions, but if we haven't, please feel free to email us. I will be giving you a call in the next 2 days. When are you available for us to talk about this further, or to whatever, right? But don't end the call without having a very specific next action. So Sogulanga says, I've actually traded with clients whose social media followers are low, but their revenue is high. Like it's a big company and you wouldn't be able to tell if you just looked at their social media followers. Absolutely. Because social media is not an indication of financial success. It's more about brand and community. So the bigger your social media pages are, ceteris paribus, the more likely you are to be building a brand that has a large community, and that will help you in the long run. Admire says, in a 30-minute discovery call, how much time should the client be given to explain their problem, and how much should I spend prescribing the way forward? That's in your P's. Use your P's. Because I don't know your pitch deck. I don't know how you've crafted your comms. So what I can say is make it simple. Whatever you're explaining, make it simple. Make it a 5-minute explanation. Simple, simple, simple. Guide your client on how they need to articulate their problem. So ask them questions instead of just letting them waffle. That way you get the answers that you need and they're not waffling and they feel like you're guiding them, and so it's a quicker process. But I think 30 minutes is very long for a discovery call, personally. Simpia says, thanks, Lebo. One more question. Please advise, how do you create a customer avatar? Or is it just a concept that's not practical? Look, customer avatars can work, right? But I always say to people, there's a difference between your target customer and your actual customer. And you usually find out who your actual customer is through playing and participating in the market. So when you start with a business plan or whatever, you can have a target audience. These are the people you want to be your customers. But once you see your product at play in the market, you realize that these are the people who are actually your customers. And remember, this is going to dribble some people. The people who are your audience don't necessarily have to be the people you make money from. They can be the tool you use to tap into the stakeholders who will pay you for having those tools. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong, where they sometimes make the customer who's the tool the person who's going to be paying them, when actually that audience member is a tool to monetize. They are not the monetization. So pricing strategy matters here. I wouldn't go too hard into creating customer avatars. I think it's better for sophisticated businesses that have been around for longer and you're really trying to focus your strategy now and you're trying to deepen your influence and power in a specific industry. But in the beginning, it's not necessary. You'd be wasting your time. Experiment in the market, play, figure it out in the market, and then you'll be able to see. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your questions. We will be sharing everything with you via email. And please check your spam, your junk, everything. If you don't receive one, just check your spam or junk, because usually they might be there if you're not receiving them in your normal primary emails. Thank you for joining us. I really had fun. It's been a pleasure meeting all of you. And I really do wish you well in your businesses. We will be having a proper EIM masterclass in person in July, and I'll share those details online soon so we can all meet each other face to face. A full 1-day festival. That's going to be fun. And you will get to meet other industry leaders in the marketing space who are going to give you the tools that you need, but also you'll be able to network with other entrepreneurs who are taking over their spaces. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. I truly do appreciate you, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.